What's good? What's good? We are back. Yours truly, the one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Today, I'm going to react to a video of Joe Budden and the crew reacting to Charlamagne the God claims that the Breakfast Club is bigger than the Joe Rogan podcast. But before we do that, let's give you a word from, excuse me, one of our sponsors, and that's Dizzle.
That turn, that lit, that slap, and it's that one, that everybody talking about Dizzle new drink. They like that's that turn, that lit, that slap, and it's that one, that everybody talking about Dizzle new drink. They like
you can Dizzle too. Dizzle is a premium luxury liqueur mixed with agave tequila, French cognac, and orange liquor mango mix. Throw your Dizzle on ice, and it's nice. If you want to order your very own bottle or bottles of Dizzle Premium Luxury Liqueur, go to DizzleBrand.com. Click on our locations. Click on one of the top 3 website links. I recommend Emilio's Beverage. Must be 21 and over. Shipping and handling is included as well. The Dizzle Brand merch is on that site as well. Go to DizzleBrand.com. Click on Merchandise Store. Go to Etsy.com and search for Dizzle Brand, or Etsy.com/shop/Dizzle Brand, Etsy.com/shop/Dizzle Brand. All right, let's get into it. Joe Budden's podcast, Charlamagne claiming that the Breakfast Club is bigger than Joe Rogan.
To Schultz and Charlamagne arguing about who's bigger, Rogan or Charlamagne.
Rogan or Charlamagne?
That's what I watched.
That was an argument? A real one?
That's what I watched.
Yo, that's an old age gadget of you, nigga. Stop it. Nah.
Yo, said
what was the conversation about?
I almost want to find it on YouTube so you can hear it, but that was the exact conversation. Schultz was saying,
can I ask you a question?
Joe Rogan is the biggest platform moving. And then Charlamagne said,
oh, I did see that.
Bigger than who?
Where he said, what he was saying the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I disagree with that one.
I disagree too.
You disagree with whose side?
Joe Rogan is the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, I disagree too. Breakfast Club is a radio show that a big portion of their listeners are in one city or one state. There's most people outside of New York only watch Breakfast Club on like YouTube. I don't think pretty much everybody is tuning in across the U.S. every single morning. I mean, and to be honest with you, now that Angela Yee is left, it's not as interesting no more. I actually thought they'd be just fine, but it's not the same without Angela Yee. I think she was right. The Breakfast Club as we know it is dead. And Joe Rogan is bigger than any one mainstream news channel by himself. The Breakfast Club isn't necessarily bigger than any one mainstream news channel by themselves. Let's keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. The end. I don't care what anybody.
I think Joe Rogan is.
I don't care what anybody's metrics say.
I think he's basically like a late night TV show, man. Like it's
different. It's different stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count him, and that's like you counting Stern. It's like it's different. But I mean, I'll tell you what I pulled from it later. It's rather interesting.
And also, you got to realize Schultz is in the podcast lane. So, like, he's a podcast comedy, which, by the way, I've seen it.
Don't cape for your man. Don't cape for your man now.
Well, I've always said he's building in a lane to be like some of that hip hop-y shit. I think he was a little bit.
Let me pause real quick. Joe Budden. This is, you know what? I think I'd be like this too. Joe Budden doesn't allow any kind of shout outs or promotions on his podcast to anybody that he dislikes or has beef with. He definitely doesn't allow you to get any kind of free promotion. Like, he ain't having it. Let's keep it moving.
More catering to culture, man, he's UFC. That's Rogan, UFC, all these other things, and I think it's smart. I think it's a great way to get.
It's super smart.
It's a great way to get audience.
It is super smart.
Because here's the thing: this is what all of us hip hop platforms suffer from. Like there is a ceiling on hip hop. The amount of people who want to consume content related to music. Some people, everybody listens to music, but content related to music.
It's not a lot.
There's a ceiling on it, right?
Lot, but it's right. I'm rolling.
And when you inevitably, or when you're a hip hop platform, you kind of, it's hard to break out of that because people say, no, stay in lane. You're the hip hop guy. When you kind of, I won't say least, but like you kind of dibble and dabble into it, but also you're into all these other subcultures. That's how you become Rogan, right? Where, hey, all you guys who are into.
Great point. That's why I love basketball, NBA, love NFL, sports. That's why I dabble into that. I'm a hip hop artist. I promote music for a living. That's why I dabble into that. I'm a laws of nature guy. That's why I dabble into, how the world was created, beginning in times and things of that nature. And that's why I don't try to stay with just, even as a music promoter, I don't try to be just a hip hop guy. I try to be able to promote pop, R&B, EDM, rock, even though a lot of these genres don't get the same amount of results across the board, especially if you're promoting like on Spotify, like it's really about pop, EDM, and hip hop, but yeah, like I don't try to stay in just one lane. I try to go out the box. That's why it's music, sports, politics, and world events podcast. When you just do one thing, yes, your fan base is limited. Yes, I try to do these old school hip hop interviews, these music business interviews, music industry interviews, but I've also interviewed a comedian as well. And I don't try to just interview hip hop cats. I've interviewed rock cats as well. So yeah, you gotta broaden your horizons. Let's keep it moving.
Fitness and MMA. Come over here.
Yeah, we got something for you here too.
That makes
Hey, y'all
sense.
political niggas, come over here too, man. We got you. Oh, y'all want jokes? We gonna definitely have everything full of jokes. Sure. I look at that and I was like, because if you look at how there's a time where I thought that Brilliant Idiots was a better performing podcast than Flagrant 2. And
Maybe it was at one point. Maybe it was at one point.
Flagrant 2 outperforms pretty much all hip hop. I only always look at
let me ask you a question.
Charts. So it outperforms all hip hop podcasts.
Let me ask you a question. What you said, I totally agree with, right? Do you think color plays a part in that?
Well, absolutely.
So with that being said, like at one point, Joe and I had a conversation. This was years ago. I wasn't even remotely thinking about podcasting. And I told Joe, you could be the next Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have the ability to transcend any demo. Right? Like if he on a silly shit, he could be a silly shit. He can interview the white people. He can interview the white pop artists. He could do all of those things. I think that in a white...
See you, Steve Mann joint, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
Come on, man.
I think in a white space, it's easier to grab Kelly Clarkson. She's comfortable coming to sit with you. You hear what I'm saying? It ain't that many black Kelly Clarksons.
Kelly Clarkson also has a new show.
And then even when the black artists get to a certain level, and this is what all the black podcasters are talking about now, when you get to a certain level, they apprehensive to come sit on the couch. On they rise, they'll come sit on the couch.
Yeah, that's true.
But once you get to a certain
Once they
level,
make
they
it stars,
apprehensive. Yeah, they
now they want to run and shoot.
They'll go fuck with Leno.
Fact.
Yeah.
I always said it's more valuable to me talking about him than talking to you.
That's unfortunate.
I always say that in the opposite way. I'm like, yo, listen, if I can't talk to you, shit, I could make more money talking about you.
What I'm saying to you is this about the Charlamagne argument. Mm-hmm. I do believe, and then I'm moving off of you. Anytime you come here, I talk about a bunch of niggas I don't ever talk about this pod. But if I pour 1,000% of me into you to build you up and build you up and build you up, because I have been the bigger person with the bigger light and platform to be able to do that. And it then starts to work. And then you move on to greener pastures.
Okay.
Don't come back to me 9 years later and tell me about how your new best friend is so much bigger than me.
That's a good point.
New Joe Biden.
Yeah, Charlamagne needs to pump the brakes here. And don't get me wrong, Charlamagne the God is he's big, he's huge, he's a very important voice in America. Charlamagne the God knows that he's a very important voice in America. But so is Joe Rogan. And there's people that I've heard a lot of people that said they would love for Joe Rogan to be president. I ain't heard nobody ever say they love Charlamagne God to be president. He needs to pump the brakes a little bit. And the thing you said about the white fan base, it's really like kind of the same thing you think about why Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake are at the top of the game, because the more gangster you are, the more drug dealing rapper you are, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, fuck bitches, get money, the less white fan base you have in hip hop. And not saying I don't like, gangster music, and I love Too Short, pimp music, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying not all white people love gangster music or pimp shit or shoot 'em up, bang, bang, or whatever, But because that's the thing. I know hip hop's not supposed to, everything in hip hop isn't supposed to be taken literally. A lot of things are supposed to be taken metaphorically, So yeah, pump the brakes, Charlamagne. Maybe you'll be big as Joe Rogan or bigger at some point. You're getting close, but you're not there yet. Once again, thank you for tuning in, Paul Pickett Podcast, and I'm out.